What is up, everybody? I'm No Lex Given, and today we got a fun one for you. I'm still waiting for the new patch for Storybook Brawl, but in the meantime, I am still playing one game a day just to get my first win of the day bonus. So here's yesterday's game that I played, and we're going to be looking at Wonder Waddle today. That's always a fun one. In times like these where I'm only playing one game a day, I tend to just pick the most fun hero, and generally I do just play one game a day. That's a little secret that you might not know. I tend to play like one game a day even when my channel is like at its peak, and then during 1 or 2 days during the week I'll play like 6 games or something, and that's typically enough to farm content to last me for the full week. So we're just doing the one game a day until the new patch comes out. I'm conserving my energy, and then once that happens, then I'll do, the 6 or 12 games a day so that I can get some really sweet games with the new artwork and new board that have been teased a little bit. But this game starts off pretty well for first game of the day here. We've got the blind mouse pickup on 2.2 into a coin of Sharon. And typically, you will see me slot 4 my polywoggle or backline or bench my polywoggle on 2.2, but not today, because coin of Sharon means we want to frontline that son of a gun and give him +4/+4. So now we've got a +5/+5 polywoggle, and that will contribute to some nice big slays. So there's some options here. I'm certainly at least thinking of picking up Happy Little Tree and Vampire, which are obviously Vampire just being a good character, and then Happy Little Tree being a character that can potentially work with Coin of Sharon. I am ultimately going to decide that I don't mind if Vampire gets the Coin of Sharon buff either, but the question is, do you lock on to this Wish Upon a Star? And XP on Wonder Waddle is always kind of questionable. I used to not go for XP on Wonder Waddle back when, and great combat by the way too, the fact that we get to tie it, and we slayed and had Polywoggle get the Coin of Sharon, so we get a 14/16 Feasting Dragon. That is definitely enough to make me feel confident in going for this Wish Upon a Star, if I want to do so. And the reason that I might not want to do so is because once I grab XP, it's going to be harder to find those tier 2 animals to grab those early treasures. But we already have Coin of Sharon, we already have Feasting Dragon, so I'm actually thinking of something a little bit sillier here too, and that is not playing the Happy Little Tree on this combat, so that way Feasting Dragon can get the Coin of Sharon bonus. Thought that this would be fun, and we're up against the last place player in the lobby, so I still feel somewhat comfortable. But I am ultimately going to decide to cast that XP spell. Now, surprisingly, none of my characters die. I do get the bonus XP, but none of my characters die, so a little bit strange on this one. And then I'm going to wind up picking up a prize pig here on 4.1, and then I'll lock on to Friendly Spirit. I think that that's a pretty good character. We're going to be able to grow it with Coin of Sharon and grow it with Feasting Dragon by locking on to it. So that seemed like a pretty good pickup here, but you do have to at least consider whether or not you want XP on 2 specific characters, Wonder Waddle and then Celestial Tiger, that we're actually facing up against this round. But both of those characters, obviously can make great use of XP, and we will see that the Celestial Tiger in this game has a Skips puzzle rune that will be super powerful for them down the line, but it's going to be powerful for them when they spend the time to go for some tier 2 and tier 3 treasures. So yeah, definitely just something to consider there. We're going to get owned by Celestial Tiger here, by the way. They had a pretty nice setup, and we do get the Coin of Sharon on Happy Little Tree, so that's nice. And then we're also going to get to pick up some pretty nice characters here, some tier 4 characters at the very least, with a Friendly Spirit and a Greedy, and both of these characters are really, really good for the Coin of Sharon. Coin of Sharon's interesting because I think if we had just picked up the 3 of Swords. The 3 options were 3 of Swords, Deck of Many Things, and then Coin of Sharon. If we had just gone for 3 of Swords, that probably would have been stronger for the first few turns, and we would have had a little bit more health. But obviously, I am definitely pretty happy to have gone this route to grab a 14-16 Feasting Dragon. That's obviously really sweet. We did take more damage for going this way, but now we have a better treasure into the late game, I would say. Coin of Sharon is a treasure that I will play on late game boards if I'm playing like a bunch of good boys or something like that. It's very good. We are going to take a little bit more damage here. Speaking of damage, down to 15. A little bit awkward. We're towards the... Well, actually, we're in 5th place. We're tied for 5th place. So it doesn't seem too bad overall. And we're level 5. So this is actually kind of a power spike. We can pick up a Southern Siren, and I'm actually feeling good enough that I'm going to go for a prized pig as well. It might seem a little bit greedy, but I think that it's fine. And then just to kind of counteract that greed, I'm going to go for a Blessing of Athena. And one thing to notice too is that on the previous combat, Friendly Spirit got the Coin of Sharon. That is so strong, and basically means that we've got +8 this turn on our board, and we just ripped another +7 from that blessing, and picking up a Southern Siren is a really strong character. So for that reason, that's why Friendly Spirit's in slot 2. Sometimes I'll put it a little bit later so that way it's not landing on things that have already taken damage, but we really want it to die early, be the first thing to die and get that Coin of Sharon buff, and it's going to happen here yet again. The other thing to note is that when that happens, you will get the Coin of Sharon on the Friendly Spirit for this turn too. That's why we have such a huge prize pig, and we're able to walk away with both of our prize pigs intact. And now we will pick up a triple of that, and I'll pick up Merlin's hat to finish things off. I'm going to go for a Sporko. 5/5 Sporko seems good enough, and will support some nice characters here. And then I'm ultimately going to decide to drop the Greedy for a Feasting Dragon. And as I believe it was the Fates previously on 15, as we dealt them some damage, we are now in 4th place. So our stock has risen a little bit in this lobby. That's nice. And then we'll get to cap off here by picking up a Blind Mouse. And with that, Merlin's hat that we just picked up, we got to go for Forking Rod. I don't know what treasures Miri has, but Forking Rod is definitely the pickup here. It's just so good with the Merlin's hat that's actually going to define a lot of where we take this game in the future, and is a nice way to kind of like, we're wrapping up here. We're almost level 6, right? So that is going to be over with soon. We're going to take a little bit more damage from Miri, and I actually regret not taking the Slay a little bit because we could have had Hatball, so that could have been fun as well. All of these free spells, but we can only cast 1 spell a turn. Not the best. But maybe we could find a crystal ball here. I would toss the Coin of Sharon for a crystal ball at this point, but I would also toss it for a treasure map. And I have to toss the Coin of Sharon because our other 2 treasures are just so synergistic with each other. So that makes that pretty straightforward. I'd love to hang on to the Greedy with a Ring of Meteors in the shop, but I also want to pick up a Baba Yaga going into 6.0. If we can get a few more Feasting Dragon Slays, that will just make our shops even stronger. And I think I know the thumbnail for this video, and I think it is going to be something along the lines of how crazy we get our shops to be. And of course, Feasting Dragon is going to be one of the pieces to the puzzle with all of that. So yeah, pretty fun stuff. We get our second Feasting Dragon Medusa here, but that's fine. If we get to keep our Friendly Spirits, I will take it. And I will also take my opponent's Fanny. And this is a really close combat, but we are able to get the win and kill onto Cursed King going into 6.0. So I'd really like to pick up some more like Baba Yagas or Sirens, or potentially even Lancelot. We could also triple a tier 6 character. We looked at Trees and Peas yesterday, so that was partially what took me off of not wanting to go Trees and Peas here. Obviously tier 7 treasures pretty good with trees, but those just didn't really excite me too much. I think that we potentially could have gone for the the trees, and then we could have picked up Burning Beard here. That probably would have been great, but I'm not going to worry about it. I do want to cast this True Love's Kiss because it's a double cast, but ultimately decide against it, and then I'm pretty happy to just double Dream here. That's pretty good for us as well. I'll go Phoenix Angel on the first Dream because I know that we are dreaming out of it, and then I am going to, sorry, a lot going on there, go into Muerte. So that's the reason I didn't go for Zippy the Zombie in this specific case. But we're going to get an Empress P off of the Phoenix Angel, and then we are going to become Muerte, and because of that, I decide to triple the Friendly Spirit going into this combat, which allows me to get a win and a tier 6 treasure, not a tier 7 treasure, but we can still do a lot with a Mimic Chest. We're accidentally locked onto that shop as well, but now we get to pick up some buffed up good boys thanks to our Feasting Dragons. These good boys have +7/+7, so that's pretty sweet. And we already have the Empress P to go along with them. And we're Muerte. So that's going to make these good boys extra strong because they're going to get to pump each other up even more. I moved my board around a little bit to order Vampire sooner. But then I realized that we're Muerte. I kind of forgot that we were Muerte because that all happened so quickly at the end of last turn. So I'm going to switch the board back, and we're locking onto this Echo Wood here. So with these triple beans, we're now triple casting our spells. Our good boy will get first attack, and then will actually die to the Earthquake because it just barely survived, and then it's going to give its stats twice to the rest of the board. So that gives us some pretty big ranged characters in the back line, and that Friendly Spirit also gets to give some absolutely massive bonuses. We've got a good boy with no other good characters left, but still, that is quite powerful. We'll pick up the Echo Wood now, and I do very strongly consider picking up this Stone Skin, especially if we can triple the good boy. Having some spells on that is really good, though. I'm kind of glad I didn't. We get to Lucky Coin for +3 gold, so it definitely made our gold back there. And then I'm just kind of rolling down for a spell, so I don't know, maybe it wasn't worth it because I don't actually wind up finding a spell that we can cast here, so a little bit awkward stuff. Fog, not really going to be great against the Celestial Tiger, but we can cast a Smite to end the turn off, and it's a triple casted Smite. It's still something interesting, but yeah, I definitely want to find another good boy, and then maybe we can replace like the Merlin's hat with a tier 6 treasure, and a doubled up tier 6 treasure could certainly be really strong. We'll see that Celestial Tiger has fully transitioned into good boy Echo Wood as well, so we got a game here to play, and our support characters are going to be just a little bit larger than my opponents, allowing us to snag the win there. But we're on to top 4, so this game's almost over. I take a look at Feasting Dragon, but I actually don't care for any tier 4 treasures at this point. Coin of Sharon could be good, but we can't get that one back again, so a little bit awkward. And then I am going to wind up throwing Hercules in the back line instead of Echo Wood. I feel like we are strong enough right now that I can kind of greed for the Hercules. And here's how we'll get a little sneak preview into how we're going to make some really powerful shops. Tripled up Masquerade Ball allows us to turn our entire shop into tier 6 characters, which is a lot of fun. And basically I'm just thinking, okay, all of these good boys can die, and that should be enough to activate Hercules in one turn. In one turn, I think I can greed out for to grab a tier 6 treasure, and it's a doubled up tier 6 treasure because of that Mimic Chest as well. So that is kind of the plan here. My opponent attacks first into Good Boy, which is really good for us, and then when we see our second Good Boy get in there, it's going to bring Hercules up to 96, which is really unfortunate that that just barely misses, and the Mummy misses our Hercules. So we get a combat tie, but we don't get to activate Hercules. It's got 4 damage left. So I'm going to put Hercules in position 1 just to guarantee that we get her done right now. And I do take a look at, because we can triple cast a Kidnap here, but unfortunately Merlin just doesn't have anything good for us. So this would really be like an Econ Kidnap, and that's just not something that I'm super excited about. I think we can do better if we can find a spell to pump up a good boy before the end of the turn. Now, we're going to wind up not being able to, so I sell off this golden chicken just to roll a few more times trying to find a spell that we can cast, and I'll settle eventually on a worm root by the end of it. And yeah, now here we are hoping to just replace this Merlin's hat with whatever we get from Hercules, if we can get something sweet. And, excuse me, then we might even be, well, we could be in the finals up against the Miri. That would be pretty good, but I think the Celestial Tiger a little bit stronger, so we're probably going to be up against that. Actually, a really close combat up against the Ghost if that had gone a different way. Kind of feel bad for Merlin. They're dying with a treasure map unused, but you know, that's the beats. And I'm going to take a Pandora's box after that. Singing Sword is pretty decent because then we could have just taken like the Green Knight and we would have had enough health and attack on all of our characters, but you can't pass up a Pandora's box when you see one. We've still got at least 2 more combats left in this game, so I'm going to pick up the box, and then I'm also going to pick up the Green Knight just to be able to play both of my Empress P's. I've brought this up before. I never know when I have this selection of characters in Empress P, Good Boys, and Echo Woods, how many supports you should play, how many Echo Woods you should play. This obviously gets a lot easier of a puzzle to solve if we can combine the Empress P's, then we can put the Echo Wood back in, and that's pretty straightforward. But until then, we got some work to figure all of this out. We do get to make some really, really large support characters, so that's nice, and is actually going to be enough to just barely find a tie here. So really sweet stuff up against the Celestial Tiger. And then we're going to grab Excalibur. So now everything in my shop is upgraded, and we actually could have activated Lancelot immediately had we gone for that, but there aren't so many super exciting tier 5 treasures. But one thing that I am excited about is Masquerade Ball. That's still a triple cast, and will turn our entire shop into upgraded tier 6 characters. Obviously, Scion of the Storm looking pretty powerful. I'm just taking a look to see the size of my current P's, and I'm definitely interested in picking up an upgraded Good Boy. So I'm going to sell off the Baba Yaga and the Hercules to pick up those, and then I go back and forth between if I want to play Empress P or not. I'm going to decide to lock onto them so that way I can pick up an upgraded Empress P. But a little bit awkward there as it gets attacked into first. Now, luckily, our backline supports at this point are all good characters, but it's awkward because we didn't get the Muerte bonus off of our upgraded Good Boy. That's going to be a really, really big thing in terms of how much power we bring to these fights. Now we're up against the Ghost again. We were unable to kill Miri, so we've got a little bit of a game to play, and the tracker kind of crashes there, and then we get another Masquerade Ball in the shop, so I decide to cast that, hoping for another upgraded Good Boy, and we are going to be able to find one. We could also potentially move into trees, though at this point it's way too late with double upgraded Good Boy plus Muerte. This is definitely where we want to be. So not currently playing any Empress P's, we're just playing all Good Boys and one backline Echo Wood, and I think that this is right, though I am looking at this upgraded Green Knight. That's a pretty big upgrade over what we currently have. So I'm going to sell off some of my characters, pick that up. That is just a lot more stats that I want to add to the board. One thing that's kind of awkward here is I want to put the most stats on my upgraded Good Boys, but by doing so could actually make them less likely to die, and then we could actually get less stats because our Muerte will hit our smaller unupgraded Good Boys. Now it works out here, and at this stage of the game I think that all of my opponent's characters are probably big enough that they are going to kill my Good Boys, but I actually can't check because the tracker was having some issues, so had to reload that, and basically means we won't be able to get stats here for the rest of the game, this final fight or two, which is a little bit annoying, but but regardless, we are able to roll into another knighthood, or this is actually the first knighthood of the game, and again, like, I have to decide, do I even want to play Echowood? Is it better to just play a bunch of good boys? And one of the reasons that I decide to go this route is putting in another support in the back line will make it less likely for my other good boys to die potentially, but it's really just going to be a matter of which one gets attacked into first. And unfortunately, it's my unupgraded good boy. So that was a little bit disappointing, but we still have a lot of stats. You can see our good boy versus their good boy. Ours is a lot bigger, and this is going to be a close combat, but we do actually get the win and the kill onto Celestial Tiger. So one thing that I could have potentially done there is just played a frontline Echowood instead of that unupgraded good boy. It sounds silly, but that might have actually been the correct play. But one thing that is also nice here is that opposing Celestial Tiger was actually playing a Fairy Queen's Wand. So we grabbed some bonus Stardust there. Unfortunately, I don't have like the win percentage for that final fight, but considering they attacked into our smallest good boy and that got the Muerte bonus, I have to feel like we were 100% to win that one, because I don't think it really could have gone worse, though. I guess if you look at the very end of that fight, so when it's like just down to the Echowoods, this seemed like it could have been really close for a second. So we're about to attack with our unupgraded Green Knight, right? Oh, but it gets bigger. So yeah, if they had hit our ranged unit here, I think that we still then have a 50-50 to win, but it was close. There actually was a way to lose that fight. If their Echowood attacks into our Lady of the Lake for those final attacks, and then Green Knight attacks into Echowood, it would have traded. If it attacked into Robinwood, it could have survived, but Echowood, it would have traded, and we would have taken 9 damage and still been able to live another fight. So pretty decent odds there, all things considered, I have to say. And yeah, a pretty sweet game. That's going to be it for me today, though, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace.